Hi, this is Political News in 5, and today is June 19th, 2022. I'm Aisha Osori. And the first thing I want to talk about today are the gambling aspirants. I'm talking about some of the APC and PDP presidential aspirants who also secured seats to the Senate. That's the retirement home of former governors, except in the case of Bala Mohammed, who did the same. But in his case, it wasn't to the Senate, it was to secure his seat as a second term governor for Bauchi State. Shame on these men and their sense of entitlement. People like Akpabio and Tambuwal also did the same thing. Now, why I'm raising this is because there's an interesting battle between the current Senate President Ahmed Lawan and somebody called Bashir Machina, who currently holds the APC ticket for the Yobe North senatorial zone, which is the seat that Lawan currently holds. Now, Machina is saying that no, it's his ambition to be a senator and he's not stepping down, even though APC seems to have replaced his name with Lawan's name in the list that they sent to INEC. Now, it's not clear whether there was a pre-arrangement between Machina and Lawan, or if Lawan just was so confident he was going to get the APC presidential ticket that he didn't plan for failing. Now, it's also not clear if Machina was, a loyal serf who was holding the seat and is now betraying his Oga at the top. Whatever the case, the Electoral Act, Section 84, favors Machina, and I hope that INEC will do the right thing and make sure that they replace Lawan's name with the correct name, which is Machina's name. This is just one more reason to avoid APC and PDP. They're fundamentally undemocratic. And if not that, then there's another reason to avoid certain types of candidates who feel entitled to government office. Hopefully, the next amendment in the Electoral Act will make it difficult for any candidate or aspirant to do what these men have done. Speaking of placeholders, the second thing I want to talk about today is the VP, who is going to be VP, which is one of the hottest questions in town right now, and the placeholder VPs. Now, because INEC had provided that June 17th was the deadline by which parties had to send the list of candidates for president, vice president, Senate, House of Reps, all the national seats, some parties or some people, candidates, had not determined who their vice presidents were going to be, and so they sent placeholder names. I'm talking about Obi of Labour Party, who sent Doyin Okupe's name. Doyin Okupe was formerly of PDP, and the sense is Obi is still having conversations with Kwankwaso, and so on Kwankwaso, formerly of PDP and APC, now of NNPP. And so we're waiting to see what happens there. And then on Tinubu's end, he used Kabiru Masari, not the governor of Katsina State, but a relation, who was also formerly PDP, as his placeholder vice president. Now, Tinubu is probably weighing two things. The nationwide reaction to the possibility that he might have a Muslim ticket for APC, which is a strategic and logic thing to do, but of course, quite controversial and emotional for many. And then it's also clear that he's trying to decide who amongst the many governors he promised will be his running mate. Now, it could be that he's preparing to serve them a drink of betrayal, a taste of which they know very well, and pick a non-governor like Shetima, former governor of Borno State and currently in the Senate, as his running mate. The sense is that Shetima would be a good candidate because he's from the Northeast and he would whittle down on Atiku's votes. Atiku is also from the Northeast. The Northeast as a bloc has about 11.2 million votes. Atiku on his own has picked Okowa, for governor of Delta, as his substantive vice president. A lot strategic, logical, but uninspiring choice. As a bloc, the South-South has about 12.8 million votes in total. Speaking of votes, the third thing I want to talk about is Ekiti and the gubernatorial elections that held yesterday, where APC won with less than 200,000 votes. I mean, I find that appalling. It's quite low. And considering how powerful governors are, you'd like to think that somebody who becomes governor of a state is voted in with a lot more than less than 200,000 votes. In total, Ekiti has less than 1 million, and so it seems about a third of the registered voters came out, about 360. That's not good enough. The Ekiti elections were important for civil society to watch for two reasons. It was the first election that was holding since the amendment to the Electoral Act earlier this year. And there's also a chance to see how the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS for short, was going to work. It's been problematic in the past, especially in the last election in Anambra. So there's a sense that many people are going to vote in 2023, hopefully, fingers crossed, and nobody wants to see millions disenfranchised because there's a clause in the Electoral Act that says if you can't get accredited through BVAS, you're not allowed to vote. The good news is that it seems preliminary reports are saying that BVAS worked fairly well, and where there were hiccups, those hiccups were solved quickly. Let's see what will happen in Osun next month during the gubernatorial elections. PDP made a poor showing at Ekiti. They came third to Segun Oni's SDP that came second. Let's see if they do better in the Osun elections, which are more strategic for them. Well, that's it for me. If you haven't registered, you still have a few more weeks to do so. It's not clear if INEC is going to extend its deadline. But until then, stay safe and see you next week. Bye.